All right, let's dive in, shall we? Today we're tackling international trade head-on with a deep dive into Export Help Center, the #1 genuine export mentorship from India.
Wow, quite a title, right?
It is, but hey, it caught my attention. We've got a ton of research here, testimonials, program details.
The whole 9 yards.
This deep dive is for anyone even thinking about a career in export, so like management students, job seekers, total newbies to exporting.
Even if you've, got that export license but haven't shipped anything yet.
You know what really grabbed my attention? Their emphasis on practical experience and mentorship.
Oh, absolutely. Those are make or break in the export world. And they claim to have, get this, guided over 2,500 students and helped over 300 build sustainable exporting businesses.
Yeah, those numbers are impressive. So let's start with the basics. Who is Export Help Center? What's their deal?
They call themselves EHC for short, and their mission, straight from their website, is to empower, individuals and organizations to succeed in international markets.
Which can be pretty intimidating, right?
Oh, totally. And they do it through education and training led by experienced industry professionals. It's not just academic theory here.
They're putting the pro in professional. I'm seeing a lot about their 24/7 mentorship. Is that legit or just marketing hype?
From what I've gathered, they seem to be the only ones in India offering that kind of round-the-clock support. Imagine you're wrestling with, a tricky customs issue at 2 a.m.
Nightmare.
Instead of panicking, you can reach out to your EHC mentor for guidance.
That's a serious game changer, especially when every minute counts. But how do they even manage that logistically?
It wouldn't be easy, but it really shows their commitment.
To their students.
Yeah, and the testimonials I've read really back that up. People are genuinely impressed, with the responsiveness.
Okay, so experienced mentors on call 24/7. But what about the actual learning? What makes their approach different?
EHC is all about practical application. They have this saying, we believe the best way to learn is by implementing, and their programs are designed that way.
Oh, I like that. I'm a learn-by-doing person, for sure.
It's not just sitting in lectures, it's about rolling up your sleeves and getting hands-on experience.
Okay, so how does that philosophy translate to, actual programs?
They've got a few options, tailored to different levels. Export L boards, export DNAs, and export experts.
Wow, okay. A lot of options.
And get this, they offer a free demo class. You can test the waters.
That's always good. Okay, let's break these down. What's Export L boards? Is that for total beginners?
Exactly. It's designed for those just starting out, those who are considering a career in international trade but need that foundation.
So management students wondering if this is the right field for them, job seekers.
Precisely. It helps them understand the challenges and, the opportunities out there. Covers the basics like export procedures, documentation, market research.
Okay, the essential building blocks. So you've got your exporting 101 down. What about export DNAs? Who is that program for?
This one seems geared towards those who already kind of get the basics of exports.
Okay.
But they're struggling to get their businesses off the ground. So think of those who've obtained an export license but haven't shipped anything yet.
So they're past the theory but hitting those real-world roadblocks.
Exactly. They might be feeling overwhelmed by the complexities of international trade.
Or not sure how to take those first steps.
Right.
So how does Export DNAs help with that?
It's designed as a series of short workshops.
Short.
Yeah, intensive, delivered live on Zoom.
Live, so it's not pre-recorded videos.
Nope, live and interactive.
I like that.
You can ask questions in real time, get clarification, connect with other participants.
Who are facing the same challenges, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so you're not just passively watching. You're engaged.
And because it's focused on real-time challenges, it's almost like a crash course in problem solving, troubleshooting.
Which is crucial in exports. All right, so we've got the beginner program, the Help Unstuck program. What about export experts? Is that for, the seasoned pros?
Not necessarily. It's for anyone who wants to achieve long-term sustainability in their export business.
Okay.
It's much more intensive.
How intensive?
Over 60 days of live export practice with morning and evening slots.
Wow, that's a commitment.
It covers a lot of advanced topics, export strategies, in-depth market analysis, real-time case studies, and this is where it gets really interesting. They share insider secrets.
Insider secrets. Okay, you've got my attention.
And they offer lifetime expert guidance.
Oh, wow.
So even after you finish the 60 days, you still have access to their expertise and their network.
That's amazing. Talk about going above and beyond.
Yeah.
But not everyone's ready to jump into a 60-day program right away.
Absolutely, and that's why they offer that free demo class.
Right.
It's a chance for anyone who's interested to get a feel for the EHC approach and see if it's, the right fit for them.
It's like a try before you buy kind of deal.
Exactly.
As we're going through all this, I'm really struck by how much they emphasize those real-world applications.
Yes. And they actually call them their key training principles. 100% live and practical sessions, 100% interactive sessions, 100% real-time case studies, and 100% result-oriented and money-worthy.
So they're basically saying, look, we're not going to waste your time. We're going to teach you what you need to know.
Exactly. They even say, unlike others, we don't just teach, we mentor you to get real results in your export business.
It's a bold statement. Do they have the receipts to back it up? Let's move on to those testimonials, those genuine words. What are people actually saying about their experience?
Let's dive into those testimonials and see what people have to say.
All right, let's hear from the students.
தெய்வ மச்சாங்கிற மாதிரி தெய்வ மனுஷன் எல்லாத்தையும் சொல்லிட்டாரு எங்க கிட்ட. இந்த பிளாட்ஃபார்ம் முடிவு பண்ணிட்டீங்கன்னா தயவு செஞ்சு வேற எங்கேயுமே போய் படிக்காதீங்க. நேரா நீங்க எக்ஸ்போர்ட் ஹெல்ப் சென்டர்ல ஜாயின் பண்ணிடலாம்.
வாழ்க்கையில நான் தேடிட்டு இருந்த பிசினஸ் மென்டர் எனக்கு கையில கிடைச்ச மாதிரி ஒரு ஃபீல்.
ஸ்கூல் காலேஜ் என் பேரண்ட்ஸ் கிட்ட இருந்து கத்துக்கிட்டதையும் தாண்டி நான் கிளாஸ்ல ரொம்ப நிறைய விஷயம் நான் கத்துட்டு இருந்தேன்.
மனதார சொல்றேன், கேரண்டடா சொல்ல முடியும், என்னால எக்ஸ்போர்ட் பண்ணி உங்ககிட்ட காமிக்க முடியுங்கிற ஒரு கேரண்டி எடுத்தோம்.
இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு டீச்சர் எனக்கு ஸ்கூல்லயோ இல்ல காலேஜ்ல கிடைச்சிருந்தானா வேற லெவல் நான் இருப்பேன்.
நீங்க உண்மையா இருக்கீங்க, எல்லாத்தையும் சொல்லி தரீங்க, உண்மையா சொல்லி தரீங்க.
என் லைஃப்ல நிறைய சேஞ்ச் ஆயிருக்கு.
லைஃப்ல எங்கேயுமே கிடைக்காது சார் இந்த அனுபவங்கள்லாம்.
எவ்வளவு தூரம் சொன்னா அந்த பையனுக்கு புரியும் அப்படிங்கிறது வேற லெவல் சார்.
ஒவ்வொரு நாளுமே எனக்கு நீங்க கொடுக்குற கண்டென்ட் எல்லாமே புதுசா தான் சார் இருக்கு.
சல்யூட் தான் சார் அடிக்கணும் ஆக்சுவலா.
நான் இந்த கிளாஸ்ல சேர்ந்ததுக்கு ரொம்ப பொறுத்து வச்சிருக்கணும்.
பாசிட்டிவ் வைப்பு, பாசிட்டிவ் எந்து அது சான்ஸ் இல்லை சார். சார் எனக்கெல்லாம் உண்மையில வரப்பிரசாதம் சார். உண்மையிலே சார், உண்மையிலே நான் ரொம்ப உங்களை அப்ரிஷியேட் பண்றேன் சார். ரொம்ப மனமார்ந்த வாழ்த்துக்கள் சார்.
பக்காவான கிளாஸ், குவாலிட்டியான கிளாஸ், இன்டர்நேஷனல் லெவல் கிளாஸ். எனக்கு ரொம்ப சாட்டிஸ்ஃபைடு.
சார் இந்த கிளாஸ்ங்கிற இதுல இந்த கன்ஃபஷன்ங்கிறதுக்கும் மேல இன்னொரு வார்த்தை கொண்டு போயிட்டாரு. அந்த அளவுக்கு டீப்பா சொல்லிட்டு இருக்காரு. தயவு செஞ்சு எல்லாரும் பயன்படுத்திக்கணும்.
It's a worth enough. Thank you sir.
எவ்வளவு ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டிஸ் இருக்குங்க சார், அருமையா சொல்லி கொடுத்தாங்க.
கிளாஸ் சூப்பரான கிளாஸ். வேற என்ன சொல்றீங்களா சொல்றேன். இப்ப நான் உங்களை ஜாயின் பண்ணுங்கன்னு சொல்றதா பண்ண வேண்டாம்னு சொல்றதா எனக்கு தெரியல.
இந்த கிளாஸ் எல்லா கிளாஸுமே யூஸ்ஃபுல்லா தான் இருக்கு. ஒவ்வொரு செக்ஷனும் ஒவ்வொரு கிளாஸுமே பயங்கர இதா இருக்கும். நம்மளுக்கு தூக்கமே வராது.
இதுக்கே ஒரு பெரிய தேங்க்ஸ் நான் இப்பவே சொல்லிக்கிறேன் உங்களுக்கு.
இது ரொம்ப ஒரு யூஸ்ஃபுல்லான ஒரு தளம்.
சோ எல்லாமே சொல்லி தரணும், எல்லாமே கத்துக்கணும், கரெக்டா கத்துக்கணும்னா அது சார் கிட்ட வந்தா மட்டும் தான் முடியும்.
எங்களோட எண்ணங்களுக்கு மரியாதை கொடுத்தாங்க.
வேற லெவல்.
இந்த மாதிரி ஹரிஷ் சார் மாதிரி இருக்கிற கிளாஸ் போது யூட்டிலைஸ் பண்ணிக்கணும் அப்படிங்கிறது நான் ரொம்ப முனைப்பா இருந்து நான் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேங்க.
சாதிச்சிடலாம் சார், ஏதோ ஒண்ணு பண்ணிடலாம்.
ஆனஸ்டா சொல்லணும்னா நான் செல்ஃப் டிசிப்ளின் கூட இங்க இருந்து கத்துட்டு இருக்கேன்னு தான் சொல்லணும்.
என்னோட வாழ்க்கையோட பர்பஸே ஃபுல்ஃபில் ஆன மாதிரி இந்த கிளாஸ் தான் இருக்கு.
சோ இந்த ஹெல்ப் சென்டர் எப்படி அப்படின்னு இப்ப உங்களுக்கு புரியும்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
Welcome back to our deep dive. We just scratched the surface of Export Help Center, the #1 genuine export mentorship from India.
Right. We got through those impressive stats, the 24/7 mentorship, and their focus on actually doing stuff, not just theory.
Right, practical learning.
Now, I really want to hear what students have to say.
Well, the testimonials on the EHC website are pretty compelling. You see a real range of backgrounds, everything from management students fresh out of college to seasoned pros looking for a change.
Yeah. I bet those management students love those insider secrets we talked about.
Yeah.
But let's back up. What are people saying about the value of this kind of hands-on export training?
There's a testimonial from a Mrs. Bhagya in Thirumangalam. It really stood out to me. She talks about how EHC helped her become a proud woman entrepreneur in export.
That's awesome.
She says it was life-changing and credits EHC with giving her the confidence to launch her own business.
See, that's what I'm talking about. They're not just teaching, they're empowering people to create their own opportunities.
Exactly. There's another one from a Mr. Tiagu in Kerala who was in a totally different field before EHC. He said his life has changed after the course and that he's finally found his calling.
It's like they're providing that missing piece. People have the ambition, but they need that guidance, those skills.
Right, and a lot of the testimonials talk about this feeling of community, the support they got, even after the program.
Oh, that's so important. Exports can be pretty isolating, right? You need that network, people who get what you're going through.
For sure. Now let's talk about those who already have their license but are, struggling to get those first shipments out. EHC has that program for them, right?
Yeah, export DNAs, tackling the everyday challenges. What are people in that program saying?
There's a testimonial from a Mr. Susai from Dindigul. He says, I had my license for years, but I was clueless, didn't know where to start. EHC gave me the tools and confidence to finally make my first shipment.
See, that's what I mean about bridging the gap between theory and practice. It's one thing to have the license, but it's another thing to actually know how to use it.
And remember, those live workshops. Participants in the Export DNAs program really seem to appreciate that real-time problem-solving aspect, bringing their specific challenges to the table.
Getting that personalized guidance. Yeah. It's like having an export troubleshooter on call, someone to help when things go wrong, which they always do.
Right, and people are consistently impressed with the mentors.
And their expertise. Speaking of mentors, let's circle back to that 24/7 availability. Is there any evidence that this is actually working? It sounds almost too good to be true.
Well, there's a testimonial from Mrs. Pushpalapshmi from Madurai. She had a document issue late at night last minute.
Oh, no.
She connected with her EHC mentor, got the clarification she needed, and avoided a costly delay.
Wow, that's a real-life example of that 24/7 support in action. It's like having a safety net, knowing there's always someone there.
Exactly. And it's not just about putting out fires either. People can reach out anytime to bounce ideas, get feedback.
Stay ahead of the game.
Exactly.
So we've got those new to exports, those struggling to get started, and those who need help, in the middle of the night.
And the cool thing is EHC has a solution for each of those. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's about meeting people where they are.
Right. It's like they've thought of everything. Now, we're only seeing the positive side here, right? The glowing reviews.
Of course, there might be people who didn't have a great experience.
We always try to keep things balanced here. But the sheer number of positive testimonials across such different people does suggest they're onto something.
I think so, too. It's resonating with people who are, serious about this, who are looking for a way to learn that actually gets results.
Okay, so we've got the testimonials, the programs, the 24/7 support. EHC is doing things differently. But how does this fit into the big picture? What does their success tell us about, the future of export education in India?
That's a great question. And it's one we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive.
ஆஃபீஸ் ஓபன் பண்ணதாலையும் ஐஇ கோட் எடுத்ததாலையும் முட்டாள்தனமா என்ன ஒரு எக்ஸ்போர்ட்டர்னு நானே நினைச்சுக்கிட்டு இருந்தேன். ஆரம்பிச்சதோட சரி, நானும் என் பிசினஸும் ஒரே இடத்துல தான் நின்னுகிட்டு இருந்தோம். எப்பவுமே கூட இருப்பேன்னு சொன்ன ட்ரெயினர் ஒரு தடவை கூட என் போனை எடுக்காதப்ப இனி என்ன பண்றது, யார்கிட்ட கேட்கறது, ஒண்ணுமே புரியல.
Welcome back for the final part of our deep dive into Export Help Center, the #1 genuine expert mentorship from India. We've talked programs, 24/7 mentorship, and heard from those who've been through it.
It really does seem like they're shaking things up.
Definitely. But before we wrap up, I kind of want to zoom out a bit. What does EHC's success say about, the future of learning about exports in India?
I think EHC is riding this wave of change in how people learn, period. That old school passive learning.
Just sit there and absorb.
Yeah, it's just not cutting it anymore, especially not in a field like exports, which is always changing.
People want to learn by doing, right? Get their hands dirty.
Exactly. And they want guidance from people who've, actually walked the walk.
So EHC's focus on practical stuff and mentorship is spot on then.
Right on the money.
Yeah.
And their success shows that it's working, especially for those who are serious about building a career in exports.
It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
International trade is complicated. You need more than just book smarts.
You need the skills, the confidence.
To deal with shipping, customs, regulations, all of it.
And you need someone there to, guide you when things get tough.
Which they will. And that brings us back to that 24/7 mentorship. I'm starting to see just how valuable that could be.
Imagine every aspiring exporter in India had that kind of support.
Anytime, anywhere.
It could change everything, not just for individuals, but for the whole Indian export sector.
Because India wants to boost exports, right? Yeah. Become a real global player.
Exactly. And to do that, they need a skilled, competitive workforce.
And EHC is playing a part in that. They're not just teaching, they're creating successful entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
People who will contribute to the Indian economy.
It's a win-win.
And their model, if more people do it, could have a huge impact on India's place globally.
Pretty exciting, for sure.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. Their unique approach, the programs, the mentorship, the impact.
A lot to think about.
So we'll leave you with this. Could Export Help Center, the #1 genuine export mentorship from India, actually live up to that name? Could they really be a driving force in shaping the future of Indian exports?
We encourage you to check out their website, learn more, and maybe even start your own export journey.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive. Until next time, keep exploring.